really we haven't got the big migration of stripers that move in from all the rivers and up in Maryland and all this way. Last year, we didn't get them at all. In the last 2 years, really, I don't know where they're at. I mean, in the month of November, we caught some out here on the islands and all, but after that, December, January, there were fish like 15 miles offshore. But you know, we get that migration of all the fish in the bay coming down this way, and then off in the ocean, we get all the fish from New England all the way up to, you know, Maine. All those fish come down here and they winter right here off the beach out here between here and Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. So, and the colder it gets here, the farther they get offshore, because all our spot croaker, everything here in the bay migrates out of here right now. I mean, the croaker and the spot are pretty much all gone now, but they all go to North Carolina and they sit right down there on this side of the point in Hatteras. They just winter out there off the ocean out there. So that's why all the stripers come down to feed. And then we also have menhaden. It's a bait fish that, if y'all been out there this summer, you see the black clouds in the water and see all the little spitting going on. Well, that's the menhaden. And that's their main fish they like to feed on, are the menhaden. So right now it's harder to catch them using the big stuff. I don't know if y'all seen how we catch them, and later on in the winter we troll great big 48-ounce mojos and parachute rigs and using wireline rods and big heavy power pro. But that's for the bigger fish when the water's colder. And pretty much by that time there's nothing left for them to eat in the bay except for menhaden. That's it. So that's what all those baits are imitating. But right now the fish that we get out here are schoolie fish. And actually bigger fish in here in the inlet right now than there are that I know anybody's caught out in the Bridge Tunnel. Right in here, I mean right here, these docks right here that you're looking at right there, at night, they're loaded with stripers underneath them right now. So, striper, this year they changed the regulations. It used to be 18 inches, now it's got to be 20 inches long, and you can have two between 20 and 28 inches. And one of those can be over 28 inches. You can understand that. You keep two fish, but you can either keep two 18 to 28, or one of those can be over 28. If you fish in the ocean, they have to be over 28. All of them have to be over 28. So if you go out in the bay, the best thing to do is go fish the ocean first. If you want to keep fish bigger than 28, but then when you catch one person, you gotta come back and fish in the bay to get your second fish, because you're not going to be able to keep more than two. So.
Can you keep them now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the season came in 4th.
Oh, okay.
And it's in the bay. It's open until December 31st, and the ocean's open till end of closes like 1st of April. So, but with the size boats that y'all have, here with the club, the easiest thing to do is go around the islands and cast. And unless you're going to get into really big, expensive rods and reels, you don't really need a whole lot to catch, the striper really, because they're predator fish. They're going to get out here on the bridge, and they like hiding behind the pilings and around. They call them rockfish because they like to hang around the rocks, because that's where the bait fish are. And right now, the main bait fish out here for them is just not menhaden, but it's silver sides. And you can see them still out here around the docks and stuff right now at night. That's what they're eating along these where the lights are on the docks. They're eating the silver sides. So we have baits that imitate the silver side. And then also the mullet, that are still a lot of mullet in here too. They haven't all migrated out here yet either. And we've got lures that imitate the mullet. Right there. And this is probably like the number one bait to throw out there, because this is, when I take charters out there and people never fished before in their life, this is like idiot proof here. You just throw it, crank it back in, throw it, crank it back in. You don't have to jig it, you don't have to do anything special with it, just crank it back in, it dies on its own. And the stripers, you can see how that one is chewed all up. And like I said, that one there, it goes down, and that one, you just crank it, it dives down just like a bass, freshwater bass will. This one here is a surface popper, and you need to get out there in the mornings, right at sunrise or at night at sunset. You get about 45 minutes or an hour or so, and you throw this thing that's got the rattles in it, and you throw it up as close as you can get up to the rocks, or you throw it over the tube where the rocks go down at the islands, and you just throw it, and this floats, so when you throw it, it's going to sit just like that. So you throw it, let it sit there for a minute, or not 30 seconds or so, and then all you do is just give it a little jerk on the rod. You just take and jerk it. When you do, that concave face on it right there makes the water blow out from around the sides of it, and that's all you do, just jerk it and let it sit there again for about 15-20 seconds. Jerk it again, you just want to keep jerking it across the water, and they, just like a freshwater bass, they explode on this thing right here. Another easy one is a rattle trap. That imitates the little menhaden, but it's got rattles in it too. And for some reason, you know, all the years I've been fishing here, anything that has an orange belly on it will outcatch anything else. And I mean, if you notice, all the main ones I use all have orange belly, except for this thing. And this one here comes in like 5 different colors, so sometimes they'll hit two of the other colors, but this blue one with the silver body always works the best. There's a black one. It's called a wind cheater, because, like I was saying, it's idiot proof. Even if the wind's blowing and all that there, it's easy to cast because it's got the weight inside. When you go to throw it, the weight's at the end of it. It takes it on out good ways and before it hits the water. You try to throw a lot of other, you know, bucktails, stuff like that, the wind will catch them and blow them out of the way, blow them off target. And if you're not getting hung up in the rocks and all that there, you're not throwing it close enough to the rocks, because I tell you, the stripers, you'll throw it to the rocks around the island and get that close to it, and you just jerk it that much from the rocks, and that's where they'll hit it right there.
And then do you put bait on those hooks?
Nope. Just like, that's why I say the hit it proof. You don't need anything. You just, you know, always have some of these with you in your tackle box when you go, because, and bluefish too. I mean, all this stuff right here, bluefish will eat alive. They're, I mean, my partner at the tackle shop just told me that, you know, a couple of other char guys out there right now just catching bluefish like crazy around the island. So it's the same exact lure as that one right there, but you're just going to catch. You might catch bigger fish with it, but you will catch stripers that big. I mean, you striper that long would eat this thing right here. So, but this is when the bigger fish move in later on. Just throw this thing here. For years and years and years, we didn't have all these other lures and stuff. So we mainly used the old bucktail, and then later on in the year, when water gets colder, you'll be able to catch them on these too. And this one here is 1.5 ounces, which is pretty much the only size I carry with me, because it's always worked. And you can either put a shad body, and they come in about 20 different colors, but chartreuse and white seem to be the 2 main colors that they'll hit. And then this is an 8-inch grub for the bigger fish too, but like I said, the small fish, they'll engulf this thing too. And then this is the main size right here. We use a 6-inch twister tail. And what you do with it is you take it, what you do with this one here, you take and cast it, like, get off from the pile, and you always want to fish when you're casting any of this stuff right here, you want to get on the upcurrent side. So if you got incoming tide, you know, you be on the ocean side, outgoing tide, you get on the bay side. And you can, because these are weighted, they'll sink to the bottom. So what you do is you just get off from the bridge and you get somebody running the boat, or either you can just back up, you know, if this is the bridge, you just back off from it right here, your stern to it, and then you cast this thing right next, try to get it right next to the piling, or you cast it inside the bridge. You know, you have to, most of all the bridges have 3 pilings. Some of the section spans have 4 pilings. So if you get a 4 piling out there, that's a good spot, because that means that that's a place where the bridge was damaged. You know, different accidents, ships and stuff have hit the bridge, and they threw all that debris overboard. So all that stuff's laying on the bottom. There's a good place to tog fish, you know, for pretty much everything. Flounder fish, everything. For all that, because they just took all the chunks off the roadway up here on the bridge and just threw them over the side. But you cast that thing, and let it sink, and most of the time, when it's, and you want to leave it in free spool, you cast it, leave it in free spool, and this starts falling, and the tail starts twirling, and usually the striper will hit it on the drop. And you won't feel a whole lot. You'll just, all of a sudden you'll feel it, you know, your line go tight, and you engage your bail and set the hook on it. Same way with these shads right here, you do the same thing to them. You put that through right there, and it comes up out of his flat part of his back right there like that. You do the same thing with that. Let that sit down. You can actually, when I use these 2 right here for the bigger fish, I like to pull up underneath the bridge and then stop. You know, when I get all the way up inside to the other side, stop, and then just drop this right straight down in between the bridge, and then let the current take me out, back out, you know, outgoing tide, let it take me out past the pilings, and then just kind of just keep this working just a tiny bit off the bottom, so it won't get hung up down there. They've reinforced all that. It used to be, years back, around, very seldom you have any structure around the pilings. But over the years, they've washed out down at the bottom, so about the last 10 years or so, they just hauled barge after barge after barge of rocks, and they've reinforced the bottoms of all those pilings where they go in the sand with rocks, so, which is better for, it should be better for the fishing. And it is good for flounder and tautog and all that, but just don't know where the stripers are. All right, as far as the equipment, like I said, if you're going to fish the bridge out here, a spinning rod is the easiest thing to do. I mean, unless you're a bass fisherman and you can really handle a bait caster, you're better off using just a regular spinner. And what I use, try not to go, you don't want to go anything longer than a 6-foot rod, because if not, when you try to set the hook and all that, you're going to be hitting the T-tops on the boats and the rocket launchers and all that stuff. So you're better off just having a 6-foot or a 5.5, 6-foot rod. And I use anywhere, you can use anywhere from 15 to 20 pound test mono. And if you really want to be brave, you can use Power Pro on there. But the problem is that when the wind's blowing out there and all at night, it's hard. I don't know much at all, but I may have a hard time in the dark at night trying to tie, bucktails and stuff on to a braided line. But I charter, so it ends up, everybody gets their stuff all hung up in my props and everything else, so I just keep it mono now because it won't eat up my cutlass bearings on my shafts as bad. So, like I said, it's 15 to 20 pound test is all you need. If you're going to go braid, you might as well go to at least 50 pound test braid on it. And if you have braid on your line, in order to make it easy to be able to tie on your lures and stuff, we take and put a little shot of mono on the end of it, tied in with a, you know, if y'all know how to do a nail knot or improved clinch knot. They can put a, you tie the mono into the braid, and then you can easily tie on whatever lure, you clip it off, you break it off or not. But on mono, there's a little method that you can use to give yourself a leader, and it is called a spider hitch. And after we're done here, I mean, we can come up and I can show you how to tie it if you want to, but if you don't get it right here, but all you do is just double it over right here, and then you make a loop real quick, and it's what it is. It's an easy bendy twist really on it. And what this does is give you insurance policy for your striper hitting the side of the pilings. And if they hit the side of the piling and you don't have it double or a leader on there, they'll cut you right off on those barnacles on the pilings. Once you get, see that's double. That knot right there is 100%, you know, in break. Never had one break. Any of this stuff here that y'all, you know, that you want to know how to do whatever you're going out, if you do just stop by a tackle shop, and if I'm not there, all the other guys know how to do it too. Like just tie, everybody know how to tie your fisherman's knot. Stuff used to be tying knots was so much easier before it turned 50. Lack of strikers, but we caught thousands and thousands of them on this right here.
I had a question for you.
Okay.
When the current's really strong, do you put a weight on it, or you just let it go?
No, well, that's the whole point. If the current's running hard,
yeah,
then you drift with it. And if you drift, then you're going along with the current, so
it's automatically kind of going
right, you're going to stay down. It's easier to stay down the bottom. Most of the time, like I said, we only use 1.5 ounces, but a lot of times the guys, if they're going to go around and jig the pile and stuff like that, they'll go up to 3 and 4 ounces.
Okay.
On these shad bodies, putting these on. But if you drift, if you go up, stop and drift, it's like in here in the inlet. You don't need a 1 ounce sinker, even though the current's running, 3 knots in here.
Yeah.
All you have to do, if you're drifting, your line stays right there underneath you.
Oh, okay.
Because you're drifting along. And with the braided line cuts through the water, and the monofilament floats, so it has more tendency to float up on you, come up on you, and not to get. You need more weight to keep it down.
Right.
But the braid, you don't need it. I mean, cuts right through the water, and sensitivity on the braid is unbelievable. But same way with. Sensitivity is all a lot to do with your rod too. I mean, these rods right here, I haven't used them. I think I bought these like eight years ago from a charter boat. They're like $25 rod. That's it, and they get abused, I mean, big time. So you don't have to spend, $150, $200 on the St. Croix rod. Cheap rods will work just as good. Now, talking about throwing these lures like these right here. What you have to do on these, you have to tie a leader on the end of this. Use the same knot that I was telling you that we tie the monofilament onto the braid with. But here, what we do is put at least a little piece of, and they use 50-pound test, but cut a whole lot more off than you're gonna need. And these knots here are really something you need to come out of the shop, right? Just sit and spend some time tying it. So when you get it wrong, you know it's wrong. Or then you get a fish on it.
What did you call that knot?
This one here is a nail knot. Oops.
Need help?
Here, just need to put my glasses on so I can make sure I put the figure in the hole. This is my grandson Caden here. He's learning the trade.
Where do you go to school, Katie?
Windsor Woods.
Well, pick your grandpa's brain. Get as much information as you can.
He does. He's
Good.
I was on the junior year awards.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I caught them all on, well, not all of them, but some of them on, from there when I was camping on my grandpa's boat.
It's the fun thing to camp out on the boat.
Just doing this.
When the tide's not here, you gotta.
Do you ever do any chunking around here?
We did, years back, and I caught them, because that's what they do up the bay, up there, and I caught, I guess about 20 years ago or so, for about 2 years or so, we chunked and caught them, caught a lot of stripers chunking. But those fish, I went, for several years, I tried it back in the same exact spot over on the shoals, over around the 12-mile marker and all, and just couldn't get them to bite. I don't know what.
What's chunking?
Yeah, we're chunking with menhaden, chum slick, but on top of that too, the sharks have gotten so bad in the past 10 years or so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't even hardly,
Yeah, catch shark all day and
can't even coach fish hardly with the sharks. Get so many sharks. And you catch and you catch red drum too at the same time, because the red drum, the water's so warm. Most everybody, all the char guys know, they're all catching big red drum out here around the first and second island. And I
Can
see
you
that's-
catch and eat shark?
Can you catch and eat them?
Yeah.
You can, certain ones, but they've got so many regulations on them. Now, the only real good shark to eat is a mako, which is offshore species you catch out there. If I can't get past the smell of bringing one on the boat. Makos are the only shark that don't, sharks urinate through their skin.
Good.
Right, and so when you bring them in the boat in 15 minutes, guess what? It smells like you have a litter box, cat litter box on them. Oh yeah, they're a terrible smell. You can, the commercial boats, when they used to long line out of here, well, even when they dog shark right now, they'll be dog sharking here shortly. And you can smell it when you come in the marina. You can, I don't know if during the summer y'all got a terrible smell from up there at the other end. That was them bringing the dog sharks in. They're a terrible smell.
What do they do with the dog sharks?
Sell them. Ship them overseas.
Didn't know
Oh, yeah.
England, right? That's great.
Yes, England, that's fish and chips, yeah.
Really?
And then they do something with the bellies on them in Italy and France and all that. They pickle the bellies on them. But, all right, here's the other.
I did not know dogfish.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's two different kinds. We have spiny dogfish and smooth dogs. And they, sometimes I think now the commercial guys can catch like 6,000 pounds a day. It was 4, I think now they keep 6. And they only fish 1 hour. And they fish 1 hour. And they set their nets, and by the time they set a couple nets, they go back to pull them, and they've got their 6,000 pounds plus.
Whatever they have to throw back.
Yeah, I mean, that's dogfish, that's another government success story there. They've definitely brought them back, and they still are restricted. I mean, they only can dogfish for, when they open it up, they can dogfish maybe like three weeks or so. They open up like 4 times a year for a few weeks and let them catch them. But in January, February, you can't catch much else out here in the bay, but you can definitely catch all the dog sharks you want, because you can stop out here right outside the inlet. You can go to the Chesapeake Light Tower. We go do deep drop trips for sea bass and tilefish and grouper and all out at Norfolk Canyon, like 70 miles out. You drop there. There's schools around my boat. They're swimming around the boat out there. No matter where you go, they're everywhere. It gets to where you can't even sea bass fish out there for just so many of them. That is your surface property. And on that kind of this here allows you to be able to cast it off the end without breaking this thin line right here. So you actually bring it in right here and then cast it just like surf fishing, the same way you can go to throw it. If you have their thin line there, it'll break on you, but that leader material in there won't do it. Okay, one thing you want to make sure you do, particularly using these light rods like this right here, light line, is make sure you take a net with you, because you're not going to land a 30-inch plus striper hard enough just to get a small one, and without them breaking you off, particularly when you find if you're like a bucktail and that shad on there, you're looking at $3, $3.50, something like that. These things here, you're looking at like, I think we're about $8, $9 now for that. And these here, about the same way, they're like 10, one on here, they're $10, $11. This one here is about $15, $16. So I want to make sure you have a net with you. And it's good to have a de-hooker, that you can stick in there, and if they get the hook down, like with these treble hooks, you got to be real careful with them, so you don't end up getting one in you too. So it's easier just to net them and bring them in, let them calm down a little bit, and then try to get the hooks out with a pair of needle nose. Don't try to stick your fingers in there and get them out, because I know many guys have come in the shop with those trebles in there, hands and fingers and feet.
Almost happened to me one time.
Oh, my bad. Let's see. The tide, as long as it's moving, when the tide quits running, they don't bite because they're lazy. You can fish and be catching them like crazy, and the minute the tide starts to slack up, that's it. Until it turns and starts running again. Hopefully, the first place they really show up out here at the bay is like the small boat channel. When you go out of the inlet right here and you go between the first island and Chicks Beach, there's two small boat channels. And it's the one the farthest, closest to the beach down there. usually all the fish that are up in the James River, the York River, all that, they all move in here shortly. And at night out there around the light line on the bridge, and those are the pounds if you're gonna fish at night. I mean, y'all keep the boat out at night? Yeah, but, I mean, usually the best spots are every so often, the pounds that have the street lights on them, because they're shining down right there and drawing the bait fish in. And if you can get up there next to the bridge, and you'll see as you get up away from the bridge, it's the light line from all the lights. And you look right straight down the bridge, and you can see it's darker on one side and bright on the other side. And you can get on that light line and look down the light line, and if the water's clear, and you'll see the stripers just stacked up one, just in line like, firewood, just stacked all the way down as far as you can see.
That's cool.
And then they'll start busting, when the tide starts to run, you'll see, start busting, on the bait, floating through. Which, like I said, like right now, it's mainly those silver sides. And then they move from silver sides to, we have a shrimp out called a manna shrimp. And they start eating those manna shrimp. And there's really nothing, the only thing I found that will imitate that is called a DOA shrimp lure. If you throw one, if you get you one of those out there, they imitate that manna shrimp and they'll hit that one. But I mean, I've been out there for years and not have a charter out there. My brother's right next to me and he'll have a DOA on the boat and they'll be killing them. And I can't catch fish no matter what you throw at it. And they're busting the water everywhere and all the way in there. So